Do you know these types of characters? They are always beaten and can't seem to win no matter how hard they fight, but you still cheer for them. They are facing the hardest challenges and the strongest opposition, but they just don't give up. Of course, I'm making my case with the help of Hajime no Ippo. And there is no better underdog and struggler than Tatsuya Kimura. I know that the Mashiba vs Kimura fight is one of the most loved fights in the community, and I'll get to that later on. But first we have to put into perspective how good Kimura should be at his best. Because he's not a bad boxer. He actually knows how to box and is known for his clean outboxing. One side of his issues is his weight class. He's currently competing in the junior lightweight division. As many of you know, this is not his natural weight class. The reason for that is basically the opposite of what Miyata does. While Miyata starves himself to stay in the featherweight division to fight Ippo, Kimura starves himself down to junior lightweight so he doesn't have to fight his best friend Aoki, who's competing in the lightweight division. This whole situation makes Kimura's life a living hell leading up to every fight. His conditioning and rehydration is all messed up since he loses too much weight too fast and ends up being fatigued in the early rounds. This robs him of his footwork, which is his lifeblood as an outboxer. But as crazy as it sounds, that's not even the core issue here. Miyata and Takamura have had their fair share of losing weight and looking like dried up mummies. Yet, they have managed to rise to glory and become champions. Is it because they're built different? Yes. It's a simple yes. They're just more talented at boxing than Kimura. And they're also more talented than Ippo, by the way. It's just that Ippo has a laser focus and the mind of a possessed Jack Russell Terrier when it comes to workout routines. Some people, like Kimura, just don't have talent nor the endurance for back-breaking workouts from the 1920s. But what he does have is a will to fight. He was a punk before boxing, as I've mentioned in the previous video. But back in his street fight days, he knew that something wasn't right. He thought, what am I doing with my life? This is something I asked myself many times before. Maybe you did too. Kimura had some successful fights before, but his record is 17 wins, 6 losses and 6 draws. That means he won around 58% of his fights. Correct me if my math is wrong. This low win ratio shows how blurred Kimura's path as a boxer is. He's technically not bad, since he beat 17 guys. That's not easy to pull off. Yet, his inability to pull through to reach those final centimeters kills his success 58% of the time. Talking about centimeters, now we get to the most interesting Kimura fight. The fight against Mashiba, which he lost by only 3 centimeters. This was by far his best and strongest fight to date. Everything was in place for him. His conditioning, his motivation, his preparation. Everybody thought he didn't have an ounce of a chance. Even Miyata told him so when Kimura went to him to ask for help. But no, Kimura didn't stop there. He wanted to pry the belt off Mashiba. He hassled Miyata during his road work and explained that he was a punk back in the days. But now, he loves boxing. Now he has something he's proud of. He wants the confidence that he'll never lose again. He trained every day with Miyata until he had an answer. He didn't have a knockout punch. No way to finish the opponent. And then the man goes home and sees his fish jump out of the water. What does he do? Give up? No way. He thinks, this jump is kind of fire. I should try it. And that's how he developed the dragonfish blow. The perfect finishing move against someone with long arms. It was so effective against Miyata that he even told Kimura he expected great things from him. A normal dude who put every drop of his sweat into boxing. Maybe even out of spite. Why stop when I've come this far? If I stop now, I'm weak. No. I'll never stop. I'll keep going till I can't move. This is what goes through Kimura's mind. And if I'm honest, this hits hard. You don't got any talent? So what? Struggle, work, cry, scream, run. But most importantly, fight. Look at what Kimura did. He almost had Mashiba with the dragonfish blow. He saw the belt. He felt not only ambition, but a realizable and material form of success. He lacked nothing in that fight. It was just that Mashiba threw a simple, straight counter while Kimura's punch came in a long line. After that blackout knockdown, he even got back up. Mashiba was shook to his core at Kimura's toughness. He couldn't believe that someone could get back up after eating a full-blown counter. Aoki shouted at the ref to continue the fight with tears in his eyes. And when it looked like he wanted to stop the fight, he signaled to continue. Ippo and Takamura saw the fear in Mashiba's eyes. He wasn't thinking straight because Kimura got back up like a demon from sleep paralysis. Even someone as tough as Mashiba was shook by the normal guy. Can you imagine what pure will can achieve? Eventually, the fight was stopped because the ref saw Kimura was out cold on his feet. Mashiba's shock was still visible in that moment. When Kimura's corner stepped into the ring to take care of him, Aoki told them that he was still fighting. How cold and badass is that statement? Even unconscious, he was still in the battle. And then he awakened and threw the punch he wanted to throw. He realized the fight was over and looked around. The whole crowd was cheering for him. They respected and loved his toughness, bravery, and relentlessness. His mom and his dad were watching in the crowd, brought to tears because they were proud of their son. I'm about to cry myself if I keep talking about this. In front of the dressing rooms, Mashiba talked to his coach about the fight. He didn't even think of himself as a proper winner. He knew that if that fist hadn't stopped, the result would have been different. If I stood there as the winner, shame is all it would bring. Powerful words by the Honorable Mashiba. When talking to the press, Kimura announced his retirement with pain in his heart. He took his last steps as a boxer in the Korakuen Hall and left. At Tokyo Bay, he had his first day as a retired boxer. He lay on the grass and thought about fun activities he couldn't do before as a boxer. He tried to come up with something, but every time he thought about anything, boxing immediately came to mind. The starburst lights of the cameras and the big cheering crowds. He can't think of anything else. In his mind, he touches the belt. That was exactly the small distance that was missing. 3 centimeters. He thinks about how ridiculous 3 centimeters are. His fist was short by the length of a paperclip. Then it hits him for real. His emotions finally wash out of his body. The tears of a man who has fought for his life and gave everything. Yet, he couldn't reach the final centimeters to victory. He asks himself if he could have reached another 3 centimeters if he tried harder. Did he really try as hard as he could? That's where the spite comes in. He stands up and thinks that he doesn't want this. He doesn't want to regret anything. He doesn't want to stop with doubts. Boxing is so ingrained into his mind that he can't think of anything else. It makes up his personality and lifestyle. It's his benchmark for success and positive feedback. No, he won't stop. He changed the alphabet used for his name to katakana and had his debut as a new boxer. And to this day, he's still fighting. I'm sure Kimura's big day will come, just as your big day will come. But the question is, are you prepared to fall down and struggle? Because there will be a day when you will lose all hope. It will look like you don't have a chance. You try different approaches, read books and watch tutorials, but nothing works. Someone else makes it look easy and gets all the praise, but you fail miserably. Will you stop? No, you won't. Kimura sees all the successful boxers around him and keeps having draws. He had the belt between his fingers and then got knocked out into oblivion. The simple guy who developed a strong love for boxing keeps struggling because he won't accept anything less than 150% from himself. In the end, he might end up with the belt. That's the ideal goal. But even if he doesn't, he will be able to say, I gave my all. I left it all out there. So live without regrets and give your all at anything. Your mind will be clear of doubts and you will walk tall and strong. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one.